The Rapid City Pyrenees Railroad is an over 600-mile-long Class II regional that runs across South Dakota into Minnesota and also serves a few other unimportant states. Okay, now you're caught up. RCP&E has a lot of locomotives. More specifically, RCP&E has a lot of SD40-2s. In fact, their roster consists entirely of SD40-2s, and one Jeep. Most of the members of their fleet have been trusty workhorses that have pulled millions of tons over their lifetimes. But, due to some mechanical issues, the number of RCP&E locomotives has gone down. Because of this, they have imported some rather interesting power. While all the engines we see on the rails are pretty much exactly the same, it can be hard to keep track of the detailed happenings, especially with some of the foreign power. So this video will try to round up all of these happenings that have taken place over 2023 and explain the present state of the roster. Now let's start with the home locomotives, the OGs if you will. The road numbering system places all the SD40-2s between 3420 and 3471, with a few gaps in the numbering system, and 3480 through 3483 are SD40-3s. And there is one GP38-3, number 2087. There used to be 5 of them, but they all went their separate ways. So they say the Huron shops kept this one around because there was a tight turnout on one of the industrials that the 6 axles couldn't deal with, but apparently that turnout is gone now. Today, 2087 just indefinitely runs the Huron local every day. Now I mainly want to talk about the locomotives that are out of order, but for completion's sake, 3420, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 44, 47, 52, 53, 54, 56, 57, 58, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 67, 69, 70, 71, 80, 82, 39.97, and 39.99. Wait, did I just say 39.97 and 39.99? Yeah, those are the new guys. I'll get to them later. Anyway, that's a complete list of the SD40s that work perfectly fine. Now, train wrecks are an easy way to kill a locomotive. That's exactly what happened to 3459 in 2019. Don't worry, all the workers survived, but the same can't be said for this engine. 3483 also seemed to be in some sort of train wreck. I'm not sure if it was the same one, but I'm guessing it probably was. And this is them now in their final resting place. Interestingly, 3464 was also involved in that same incident, but it apparently made it out fine. There have been more subtle reasons as to why an RCP&E engine is taken out of service. 3466 had an engine fire, 3455 has a missing engine for some reason, and 3431 just doesn't work. Every time I go to Huron, I see these 3 with more and more parts taken off of them. They angle grinded the staircase off. What was this meant to accomplish? Then there's the pieces of junk that RCP&E likes to collect from other railroads. Central Oregon and Pacific number 2036 has been here for years. Apparently it also had an engine fire. Portland and Western number 3007, a GP40, had an electrical fire. At the beginning of the year, I was told that we may be getting some Arizona power. This manifested into a shipment of 5 SD40-2s from the Arizona and California. Why did the ARZC give up these nice engines? Well, they recently got some new GE locomotives. Conveniently right after the RCP&E was finally going to get some -8s and -9s, but decided to cancel the action. Well, potato, we got some cool green locomotives now. That are gonna be scrapped. Why does this keep happening? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Allow me to introduce the new members. 3997, a former SD45 that has been down-spec'd to an SD40-2, and 3999 have officially properly integrated into the RCP&E roster, reporting marks and all. Although for some reason, 3997 never got that logo sorted out. These 2 have been in revenue service since at least April, and I have spotted them many times since. 3996, 4001, and 4002, another former 45, are not going to be placed in revenue service and have become donor/parts locomotives. Well, that's stupid, but oh well. At least we did get some new ones. During the summer, my good friend Ross informed me that some MNA power had arrived on the system. This turned out to be a waft of SD40-2s from the Missouri and northern Arkansas, the KRR, and the Alabama and Gulf Coast Railroad. A total of 6 engines have been placed into revenue service: M&A 2762, 2765, 4081, AGR 3362 and 3412, and KRR 3201. Both the Diesel Shop and Railroad Fan agree that these are RCP&E owned locomotives, but I have yet to see them remarked and repainted as such, so I don't know if these visitors are temporary or not. Only time will tell. Then there's the really recent visitors. Portland and Western 3051 showed up to the Huron shops in about October. It is a particularly interesting sight, not only because of the SD45 radiators, but also because of the Kansas City Southern Gray. I have no idea what it's doing here, but it's cool. In November, I caught 2 ex-Norfolk Southern Jeeps that have Buffalo and Pittsburgh reporting marks, 2190 and 2192. Apparently, 2191 is also around. I also have very little information about what's going on with this bunch, but I assume that the BPRR got these from a leasing company and have sent them to Huron for repaint. Now about these locomotives that are being scrapped for no reason. Well, it turns out there is a reason. Back in January, the EPA announced that they would be mandating the destruction of Genesee and Wyoming locomotives due to G&W not caring about the nonsense the EPA was on about a few years prior. When the rail fan community found out about this, people lost their gosh dang minds, and reasonably so. Remember, this was the declaration that was going to destroy those classic road switchers on the Portland and Western that everybody loves. It's actually lucky that I happen to be going to Oregon this summer, since I basically caught these things at the last minute. Anyway, there's some interesting connections on this list of 70. 4002 is on the list, which would explain why it's getting scrapped. 4001 and 3996 aren't on the list, but I guess they're getting thrown in anyway. M&A 4081 is also on the list, although it's still being used. And... wait a minute. Oh no. Well, likewise to the 4081, they're still using 3437, but it's only a matter of time. Yeah, I'm sure the EPA has made the environment a better place, but come on, man. Fortunately, that's the only RCP&E engine on this list. Well, that's it for RCP&E locomotives, but there is one more thing I'd like to mention. BNSF 988. This Heritage 1 C44-9W showed up in May, and sat around through the summer until eventually disappearing. Now I haven't the foggiest of ideas as to why this thing came to visit. For all I know, it had a loose screw or a bulb went out and they came to Huron because it was most convenient. However, it did sit around for a while. Now RCP&E has been promised GEs for years now, but nothing has ever come of it. Could this Dash 9 have disappeared into the paint booth? Probably not, but it's not an impossibility.